Thanks for checking out this weekly news roundup. This is the first of our topics, and we're going to be talking about global rollout of age attestation, what the mark of the beast or the new world order, or whatever side of the conspiracy tinfoiliness you want to be on. And it is starting to roll out pretty much everywhere. Bills are passed, and applications aren't even waiting for bills to pass in some instances. And of course, we want to start with talking briefly about Discord. So Discord's like, hey, we're delaying our age rollout after backlash. I don't know if they're necessarily doing it because of backlash. Of course, their PR person came out with this. I think it was actually their CTO, his blog post like, oh, we get it, I understand, and all this kind of, oh, we understand, but we got to make it safe and blah, blah, blah. The bottom line of this, in my opinion, what they actually did is they were ready for that March rollout, only they were using Persona, and then Persona was caught not only being tied to the US government, but leaking out all sorts of know your customer stuff, which is not in the spirit of what Discord wants, just age verification of some form or another. And so they're putting the brakes on while they're looking for other means and other companies to work with to do the age verifications. But of course, Discord has their approach here. Basically, any account that they already have a pretty good idea that you're probably an adult. They say, according to them, if we can trust them, 90% of people will not have to do anything at all. Their systems already believe that they are adults based on, all sorts of crazy stuff that is already known in the background. Who knows? All right. But they said the other 10% would either have to submit an ID, which is kind of funny because, most 13-year-olds don't actually have ID. So this is kind of interesting. Now, it's not that simple. It's if you want to be the adult tier, you would have to submit an ID. So basically, you're a kid on the platform unless you submit an ID to demonstrate that you're not a kid. So it actually was not a bad approach. But you could either submit an ID, or the second way is you could do a face scan. And what they're saying is that they want that face scan to be done exclusively on the device, and it can never leave the device. Now, some ordinary gamers, I think it was him, brought up a very good point that if they're not sending this out anywhere else, what prevents one person from age verifying 37 people? Like, the little teenager comes out, it's like, the Discord wants a face scan. I don't know if I want to do a face scan. Hey, grandma, look at my cool new thing. Just do all that. Woo, thanks, grandma. And now the kid has verified his adult account via grandmother. So now he is, susceptible to all sorts of weird stuff on the internet, which, okay. Why is grandma or mom or dad or somebody else letting that kid on the internet? That would be a fundamental question. Now, the problem is that Persona, whom they were originally going to use, they actually, they were not keeping that, the facial scan directly and exclusively on the device, but B, they also were tying in other forms of databases, know your customer things, and basically all of the evil things that Palantir and Peter Thiel in general tends to do. Peter Thiel, the guy that had the interview not too long ago, the guy's like, you would like the human race to endure, right? I don't know. You would like the human race to endure, right? Well, yeah, but he's like, well, that's a little bit of a pause. You want that guy having contracts with the government, having all this know your customer stuff? Yeah. Well, that was Persona, whom they were. Now, of course, they came out and said, well, we had a limited test run of Persona. We just determined not to use them. So that's my opinion why they're rolling this out later on in the year rather than next month like they originally planned. But effectively, Discord says people who are not part of the 10% who do not need to verify their age will be given options to do so, either completing a facial age estimation or submitting an ID to Discord's vendor partners. Of course, those are, the vendor partners that leaked 70,000 IDs after that pinky promising and signing an NDA that they would not be storing any of that information. So, Discord has a really low bar here. Gotta get over this really low bar. Oh, well, we're not working with that company anymore. We have new NDAs and new pinky promises with other partners now. Pardon me if I don't trust you, Discord. Okay. They want to publish information about each of the verification vendors and their data practices. Everyone has the same data practices. It's you find out that they lied about those data practices when the breach happens. Okay, they want to clearly identify which vendor is being used. In addition, it now says it will work with vendors that perform age verification entirely on the user's device, which seems to me like that's a good way to not actually properly verify. What stops a 15-year-old from getting his 20-year-old brother to do this? You know, I mean, there are so many ways around. And to my point in the video we did on the Colorado law a couple days ago, if this were about protecting the children, you would be throwing everybody in jail who was on Epstein Island, do a civil asset forfeiture, and then use that money to pay off the national debt. I mean, we could solve the PDF problem and the national debt in one fell swoop, but like, we couldn't possibly arrest like 4 influential people. Why not? If our system is built on a bunch of PDF files who are hoarding cash, let's go ahead and burn it down anyway. You know what I mean? Okay. So if you want to make the argument this is about keeping children safe, let's be serious and keep children safe. Okay. You know what I mean? But that's really what's going on now. Discord actually in their post, they actually mentioned that they wanted to do a couple different things. Number one, they wanted to add more verification options. Sorry about that. I want to add more verification options. So credit card verifications is another one they want to add. Now, I have to stop and think because we're approaching this world and I'm resisting like I do with everything. I am going to resist until the last possible moment. The same thing with there was, for example, I think it was called FinCEN. There was a law that was passed under I think under the Biden administration, or maybe it was passed under the first Trump administration. It was carried on and affirmed in the Biden administration. And it was going to require every single company to provide ID documents and all sorts of things to a central government database. Now, since I run this channel and my publishing group under a registered LLC, that would mean I would have to give my federal ID to the government to be on a Homeland Security list. Okay, now I held back on that the last, and like the day before it was supposed to be absolutely required, this is your endpoint. They're like, okay, JK, not doing it. Okay. And I'm just like, yeah, well, what about all of those people that already submitted that stuff? Do you think that the Department of Homeland Security just, let's just delete the data? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. You know? So I have to stop and think, well, you know, what if tomorrow YouTube's like, we have to verify your age? Well, first and foremost, because I am part of the Ad Partner Program, they have a credit card on file or they have a bank account on file. And that's probably why I have not been caught up in any of this nonsense because, yeah, they have a bank account. I have to be over 18 to have that particular type of bank account. It's tied to an LLC. I have to be over 18 to have an LLC. And okay, he's over 18. But I had to stop and think about what about smaller companies that I want to keep working. What if X tomorrow's like, hey, you have to verify your ID? Will I just get rid of it? Maybe. Or will I verify an age? Well, if verifying an age for me means I'm uploading an ID or doing a facial scan, no, not happening. I am not crossing that threshold. But if they come out and say, well, we got to verify you with a credit card number, I'm actually okay with that because the credit card number is easy to change. It's easy to swap. We do want to find out if you can use a prepaid card for that. I doubt it, but you know, but the thing is that we have to stop and think about if we are going to get caught up in all of these things, what methods, you know, which accounts is this we're not going to do? Which accounts are worth it keeping and which ways will we possibly verify? Are we okay verifying with a facial scan? You might be, I'm not. Even though I have thousands and thousands of videos. I mean, I will just refer you to the 2,000-3,000 video catalog on my YouTube channel to watch my beard go gray over the last decade I've been doing videos to clearly verify I'm over 18, okay? So there's that. But I'm not going to do a facial scan on your app. It's not happening. Nor am I going to submit, and I have never submitted submitted and never will have any plan to submit a government ID over an internet. I am not doing that. But if you want to verify with a credit card number, sure, I'll verify with a credit card number. Because I can verify with a credit card number. You're over 18, go to the bank and say, I still lost my credit card. Yeah, can you give me a new one? Okay. And so we have to stop and think about these things, but these rollouts are going to happen. Now, this is information about that Persona vendor I was talking about, which is owned by Peter Thiel, or at least heavily invested by Peter Thiel. The crazy dude who talks too much about the Antichrist and isn't sure he wants the human race to endure. If we're looking for an Antichrist contender, Peter Thiel might actually be on the high of that list for me, or maybe the false prophet. I'm not sure. One of those two. We have to check the boxes. Any attachment to Rome? Any connection to Israel? I don't know. Some people say, yeah, they're all Israel. I don't know. Haven't cared. All right. Researchers investigating Discord's age verification check say they discovered an exposed front end belonging to Persona, the identity verification vendor used by Discord. So Persona Identities Inc. is a venture that offers know your customer and anti-money laundering solutions that rely on biometric identity checks to estimate a user's age. To demonstrate the privacy implications, researchers took a closer look and found a publicly exposed Persona front end on the U.S. government authorized server with 2,456 accessible files. Whoops. In those files, researchers found details about the extensive surveillance Persona software performs on its users. Beyond checking their age, it performs 269 distinct verification checks, runs facial recognition against watch lists and potential politically exposed persons, screens adverse media across 14 categories, including all sorts of bad stuff, and assigns a risk and similarity scores. I hope that you don't have a twin brother who's a crazy person. I mean, really. All right, so Persona collects and retains for up to 3 years IP addresses, browser and device fingerprints, government ID numbers, phone numbers, names, faces, plus a battery of selfie analytics like suspicious entity detection, pose repeat detections, and age inconsistency checks. So pardon me if I do not trust Discord. And after having a little bit of look at this, now they were doing this test in UK, Australia had things with it. Interviews with teenagers and parents and researchers indicate that many children are still accessing banned apps through simple workarounds. That was in Australia. And so, in addition to Discord, Persona is used on Roblox, OpenAI /ChatGPT, and on Lime. So how wonderful. Now, if that's not enough for you, Apple this week starts rolling out age verification stuff. Now, I hinted at this at the video that went live the morning I'm recording this particular video here. But what we see here is that Apple is, because so many different jurisdictions are requiring this, Apple's just kind of rolling out your age verification tools everywhere. Basically, it looks like they're doing more like the California law, which is set to go into effect next year. But it is effectively self-reported, not the Texas law, which is injuncted. And by the way, in the comments to that video, many people said, well, Texas tried to do this and the court blocked it. That is incorrect information. The court adjuncted it. And what the difference is that the court said, hey, you cannot enforce this law right now because we think it will lose on its merits, but we still have to run it through the case. And so effectively what's going to happen here is they will do a whole court case. And at the end of that, if the law is found to be unconstitutional, it will disappear from the books and nothing will happen. But if the state prevails and allows the Texas law to stay, then immediately every app store, everything will have to do an age check every single time you download an app. Now, this is very similar to the California and the Colorado bills, except in those bills, it seems a little bit more like the parents are self-reporting, which places the control of the device more into the parents' hands. And that is why I don't like this type of device, but why I've also said that the California law is better than the Texas law. Now, they're both from the pit of hell. Don't hear me wrong. I mean, this is like arguing about sin. Is some sin worse than other sin? Hey, I'm a Christian. All sin separates you from God. But the Bible does say sins have different elements, It's the same thing. Both of these laws are really bad. We should shouldn't have either of these. But if we have to have one of them, the California law is better than the Texas law, because the Texas law is more verified through submitting something. The California law is apparently, it appears at this moment, to be self-reported by the parent or the person setting up the device. So if the parent's like, I don't really care, kid, get on PH if you want, the parent can set the kid's device up as an 18-year-old so the parent doesn't get bothered every time the kid wants to download an app. Okay. But if the parent really is like, hey, I'm dumb for giving you this phone, but at least I'm only going to let you have things that are rated safe for everybody 13 and under. Okay, great. And so that's really what they're doing. So Apple is now rolling out age attestation in Brazil, Australia, Singapore, and it is focusing on how to split this in the United States, because 2 states, Utah and Louisiana, both have an age attestation law already on the books. So what they're doing here is they want to have a tool to allow developers to obtain a user's age range without gaining access to the personal information like the date of birth. So the need for a technical solution like this came about as more governments around the world have created laws to block or restrict certain apps like social media that can only be used by adults 18 and up. So Apple will block users in Australia, Brazil, and Singapore from downloading apps rated 18 plus starting today. And this article is February 14th, so that's 2 days ago. Starting 2 days ago, until they confirm that they are adults. Now, one of the ways Apple is doing, so basically, yeah, they have to have some form of confirmation here, but what Apple is doing first and foremost is kind of like Discord. Let's evaluate how you're using this. Let's look at the age of the account. And then with Apple, if you have a credit card on file, it will assume you're over 18 for at least that account. Now, if you have a family plan, now that family plan person can set up the age of the individual device. So Utah and Louisiana will soon have their age categories shared with developers' apps through the Declared Age Range API. Why does the developer need to know that? That's a really good question for people over there. So, we're having a hissy fit right now about Colorado, but Utah and Louisiana, this is a done deal, folks. California signed into law. It just doesn't go into effect until next year. Texas and Mississippi are in the courts. Texas's law is adjuncted. Mississippi's is not. Okay. Like a giant crap show, And so why does it need to share it with a developer? Or is it really like not sharing it with a developer, just passing an age check? Can this app be downloaded on the phone? This is rolled out already, folks. Too late. If you're like, we got to fight this in Colorado, it's already here, folks. Rolling out this week. API will let you know if you need to get a parent or guardian's permission for significant app updates for a child. How wonderful. And more granular age ranges have added a variety of new questions for developers submitting apps to Apple for review. So, yeah, there's different questions about the age ranges as well. But, hey, the global age verification is rolling out, folks. Are you ready for the total internet surveillance state? How long before this goes from, because what's the logical conclusion of this is, hey, it's no longer going to just be, oh, this user's over 18. Like, this kid, we think this kid's 13, and we know that based on all this data stuff, we know he has a 20-year-old brother. We think the 20-year-old brother verified his age so that the 13-year-old could have this. I guess we need to start rolling out Know Your Customer on every single device now. That's probably what they're going to try next. Good luck with that, Is this the same article? Okay, yeah. Apple introduces new child age initiatives, including an age check. So this one here is, this is for setting up the child accounts. So you can now set up the individual child accounts. Basically, you confirm you are the adult. You tie your child's account in with yours, and now you can make the decisions on the parents. And this would actually satisfy Texas's law. The way they're doing it would satisfy Texas's law even, because the device already has this stuff logged in, and it's a simple matter of passing this on. So, of course, now we have this developer tool for getting all this in, and as an opt-in system, developers will have to work with integrating the new API. Now, the one thing about the Colorado bill we talked about the other day is nothing's grandfathered in. Windows XP and Windows 3.1 that's still being used, and your download of SimCity, those guys are going to have to issue an update of those things to get those things pushed out there. And then, of course, we fly on over the pond there and have a look what's going on down in the UK. And let me sip some tea while I talk about the UK. I need a crumpet, mate. All right. That was more Australian, wasn't it? Actually, that was nothing. I apologize for that. All right. Reddit and adult sites are fined by UK regulators over children's safety and privacy. I mean, is Reddit really like, Reddit's going to be like, okay. It's going to be over there. It's going to be over there yelling at the wall to get some papers to not have to use the 3 seashells. I think that's what Reddit's going to do. Block me, bro. Okay, that's what I seem to think. We know that's what Kiwi Farms and 4chan's going to do. Like, not only are they going to use that fine that's issued out of that wall, they're going to probably send it back. But within this same period of time, adult sites that had weak age verifications were fined by which one? There's 2 different organizations. This is Ofcom regulates if the age verification is correct, but Reddit is actually fined by the ICO for utilizing children's data. Okay, we would all just be much better off if as a whole global world we say, yeah, the internet is not a place for children. If your children are on the internet, you assume all risks of your child being on the internet. You know what I mean? And if people are doing bad stuff, okay, arrest the people doing the bad stuff. But there's that. So the ultimate bottom line point here is that this stuff is rolling out to everybody now as we speak. It's not like, ooh, we got to get online to stop the California bill. We got to get online to stop the Colorado bill. We got to get online to stop the Texas bill. The ship has sailed, folks. We sat on our laurels. We weren't paying attention because I don't want to go near politics. And y'all missed about these things. And by the way, I talked about these laws before they were signed into law. I talked about these things. But y'all are so mad. Switch to Linux. He talks about politics. Don't talk about politics. Just talk about Linux. Politics ruins everything. Politics infests everything. We have to talk about it. If you're so hung up, if you have an apoplectic seizure hearing something about Donald Trump, please just get off the internet. You don't need to be here. And I don't like everything he does, but I'd rather have him than the alternative we had in November. Okay? It's not an easy question. It's not like, wow, I love everything this guy did, and wow, I hate everything that guy did. No. That's not the spirit of the way we go. But the fact that so many people, everybody's like, I don't want to talk about politics. Just give me my Linux content. And this stuff is passed into law. This stuff is passed into law. All right. And those are the things that we need to keep in mind. So let me know your thoughts about all those as we move on into our next topic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.